Hey everyone, intuitive and astrologer Lisa Salvatore here to talk to you about the Pisces full moon, the supermoon, that we have taking place on August 30th and or 31st, depending upon which part of the world you are in. But before we get started, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe to this channel, as it really helps me to grow my channel. But more than that, you will be notified of new uploads. Also sign up for my free newsletter at lisasalvatore.com. I give out weekly energy forecasts. You'll be notified when readings open up and events. Also, if you are a lover of all things metaphysical, astrology, tarot, numerology, basic spirituality, spiritual evolution, mediumship, the afterlife, with navigating grief, and connecting to high vibe, like-minded souls such as yourself, then please be sure to go and check out the Evolve Plus app. This app was created by psychic medium John Edward, and it is an amazing space for healing, awareness, and spiritual evolution. So come and evolve with us over there. I also co-host a weekly podcast called The Rising Gems, and there are also a lot of really amazing contributors on there, and of course, psychic medium John Edward himself. So do check it out, download it, you will not regret it. It will also be linked in the description box below, as will my website. All right, so let's get down to it. August has definitely been a very profound month with a lot of activity. We are currently under several planets retrograde, Mercury and Venus being two of the main ones. So we are definitely feeling a little bit slowed down, a little bit discombobulated, but on the opposite side of that, this is a gift of reflection and integration. Before we get to the full moon, I just want to mention that today that I'm recording this video, it is August 24th, and on August 28th, Uranus is going to station retrograde. Now this is significant because Uranus moves quite slowly. Uranus only moves about 4 degrees per year. So it's very specific if you have certain points and placements in your birth chart. So if you are a Taurus sun, moon, or rising especially, and your degrees fall anywhere between 19 and 23, you are definitely going to be feeling this Uranus transit, and you've likely already been feeling this Uranus transit. I'm in 18 degrees Taurus sun, and I have definitely felt the wrath of Uranus over the last 2 years, but it's also been very rewarding. So I want you to remember that, because Uranus is a planet of breaking free. It's about liberation, truth, change, and it often feels disruptive and chaotic while we're going through it. I remember one of my astrologer friends saying to me that a Uranus transit is like birthing a baby elephant. And I've never birthed a baby elephant. So I can't really tell you if that's true or not. But what I can say is that Uranus transits will squeeze you. They will stretch you. They will force you into growth. Now, if you're strong Taurus doesn't necessarily love change. It's just that they like to keep things steady as a fixed earth sign. They want to keep things the way that they are. Uranus is currently in the sign of Taurus until 2026. So all of the Taurus placements are definitely feeling the Uranus transit, but it moves in cycles. So again, if you are anywhere between 19 and 23 degrees of Taurus or Leo or Scorpio or Aquarius, you're getting a Uranus transit either by conjunction, square, or opposition. So you are going to be feeling the changes. So be sure to check your birth chart. Again, that's linked in the description box below. It is fast and free to do so. But remember, the ultimate goal of Uranus is to free us, to liberate us. And oftentimes, disruption is by way in which Uranus does that. Uranus is not known as the god of lightning for no reason, because lightning strikes, right? We cannot predict when, where, or how it's going to strike. It strikes. And we just have to hope and pray that we are not directly in that path of the destruction of lightning. And if we are, remember that Uranus will always leave you better than you are found. You will always have to build back up from chaos and disruption and destruction. Hopefully it won't be that dramatic, but it certainly can be. Okay, so all of that to say that Uranus is stationing retrograde on August 28th at 23 degrees of Taurus. 23 degrees and 5 minutes of Taurus to be exact. And Uranus is going to retrograde back to 19 degrees of Taurus. And then in January of 2024, Uranus will station direct. And then it moves on to the next patch of degrees. That's the way it works with Uranus. So for everybody with Uranus stationing retrograde, it actually awards us the opportunity to slow down and integrate the lessons of the last 6 to 8 months. Because Uranus is a very fast-moving planet, spiritually speaking. Technically speaking, Uranus is not fast. Uranus actually moves very slowly through the zodiac. It has an 84-year orbit, which is why it spends so many years in one sign. However, when Uranus makes a change, it is fast. It is like that lightning bolt. Uranus is associated with the Tower card in the tarot. But let me remind you that following the Tower, we have the Star. So after destruction, After chaos, after change, there is healing, rejuvenation, and regeneration that takes place. So while Uranus is retrograde, we're all going to be recognizing where toxicity is in our lives, emotionally, physically, spiritually, which situations are no longer serving our growth, which relationships are no longer aligned with who we are today, with our truth. Where are we not being authentic to ourselves? This is a strong time of transforming your world internally, which then can be taken externally when the time is right. We have a lot of retrogrades right now, let's not forget. So there's a lot of emotions being stirred up to the surface for everybody. The intensity level will vary based upon your own unique astrology chart, astrology makeup. We are able to implement changes now at a slower rate, which is helpful. There are going to be some key dates throughout this Uranus transit, but I think I'm going to come back and do another video on that because my intention was to talk about this Pisces full moon and not make this all about Uranus. But just know that as Uranus is getting ready to station, typically 3 to 5 days out on either side of the planetary station, whether that's retrograde or direct, the properties of that planet tend to be amplified. Now, we already know that we've been hearing about floods, fires, hurricanes, earthquakes, etc., Uranus's domain. So as Uranus gets ready to station, there could be a lot more wetness across the globe, a lot more water situations going on, hopefully not any more fires. There could also be sudden drops in temperature and then rises in temperature. That's what happens under Uranus. It can get really cold and then get equally as warm just as quickly. That's Uranus, quick dips and spikes. It could be very windy. Mercury is also retrograde. These planets do affect the weather, or influence the weather, I should say. But more importantly, when Uranus is retrograde, you are more in the driver's seat than when Uranus is direct. But just know that there could be a little bit of disruption in your own reality over the next 2 weeks as Uranus is stationing, and then settling into that retrograde. And this is going to be especially potent and powerful, again, like I mentioned, if you have any points or placements of the fixed signs, Taurus especially, Scorpio, Leo, and or Aquarius, and especially between 19 and 23 degrees. Now, Uranus is also in Taurus. Taurus is a fixed earth sign. So matters of the earth and the earth's restoration are absolutely going to be coming up to the forefront. So take that inward and reflect upon your own contributions to society as a whole. Turn inward and reflect upon the role that you play out in the world. Do you recycle? How do you work with waste? How do you handle your finances? And how are your relationships? Again, I'm bringing all of that in because Venus is also still retrograde until September 3rd. Pluto is retrograde, Neptune is retrograde, Mercury is retrograde until September 15th, and Jupiter is going to station retrograde on September 3rd. Again, really coercing us to go inward and reflect and reevaluate our own position in this unique universe. Okay, now let's get to the Pisces full moon. I have a lot to say about this. I'm going to try to keep this brief, and I will pull up the chart and show you as well. Our Pisces full moon takes place on August 30th, 9:36 p.m. Eastern Time. So for some parts of the world, adjust your time zone accordingly. That will be on the 31st. But East Coast time, it's 9:36 p.m. at 7 degrees and 25 minutes of Pisces. This is a full moon in the first decan of Pisces in the earlier degrees. That means the first third of Pisces. So the powers and properties of the Piscean energy is very, very strong. Now, this is the third of 4 supermoons that we are going to have. This is also the second full moon in the month of August. Talked about this before, but every 2 years or so, we're going to have 13 full moons in the calendar year. Hence the saying, once in a blue moon, and this month of August happened to be the time where we're going to have those 2 full moons. So we've got this full moon in Pisces to close out the month of August. But more than that, the full moon in Pisces closes out a cycle because Pisces is the 12th and final sign of the zodiac. So it is our final full moon of a 1-year cycle. So it's a really powerful and profound full moon in and of itself, but even more so because it's the last full moon of this cycle and we get ready to start a new one again. It's a really great time for reflection. Inventory, spiritual inventory, physical inventory. There's a lot of support around this full moon, but it's definitely profound and it's definitely emotional, and there's definitely a lot going on underneath the surface, much like Pisces energy. All right, so we know that when we have a full moon, it is when the sun and the moon are exactly opposite one another. So we've got the sun currently at 7:25 of Virgo and the moon in Pisces as its full 7:25 degrees. 7 degrees 25 minutes of Pisces. Exact opposition. The Virgo and Pisces axis is the axis of health and healing. Virgo is more about the physical healing. Pisces is more about the spiritual healing. Both signs implement both. We have to integrate both. Virgo is more of a realist, where Pisces can be more of a dreamer. Pulling the tarot into this, there are 2 cards that are going to represent this full moon, and they are both 8s. We have the 8 of Cups representing the decan of Pisces, and then there is the 8 of Pentacles representing Virgo. Now, why am I bringing this in? Because Pisces is a sign of water. It falls under the element of water. It's very emotional. It's very tuned into what's underneath the surface, where Virgo is an earth sign. Virgo is all about what's tangible, what's practical, what's solid, what's real. Virgo is about the facts. Pisces is about the fantasy. At this time, the veil between the physical plane and the spiritual plane is much thinner. Pay very close attention to your dreams. Intuition is really heightened. Psychic and prophetic insights abound. And the more tuned in you are, and the more you allow the space for it, the more you're going to receive. Pay attention to everything, your dreams, your synchronicities that come up in your everyday life, symbols, repeating numbers. Breakthroughs are going to be offered for you. Solutions of something that might have been plaguing you for the last 6 to 12 months, you could all of a sudden get just that boom, that flash of insight that helps to propel you forward. It helps you to release what is no longer working for you. Remember, the final full moon of a cycle, very strong release energy, and also very strong revelations coming up to the surface. Remember, I want to stress, psychic insights are very pronounced right now. Emotions are running high. Awareness is running high. Please take care of your physical body. Virgo is the sign of our physical health, and Pisces is the sign of our spiritual health. So we have to find that balance. And if there's imbalance, it's going to come up to the surface. Full moons will always illuminate what has been concealed. And because this is a supermoon, it's going to be that much more illuminated. This one is actually closest to the Earth, literally, the moon in its orbit. It's actually closest to the Earth. So this full moon is going to appear the biggest and brightest that we have seen in a while. So hopefully wherever you are, it is clear. So think about the symbolism of this. Everything that the full moon represents is that much more heightened in the sign of Pisces. It's that much more profound as it's the final full moon of a cycle. And it's a supermoon. Catch my drift? Keep a dream journal. Pay attention to those crazy off-the-wall thoughts and impressions that you receive. Even if you don't consider yourself that intuitive, guarantee you're going to receive some very profound insights. Pull in the element of water and the element of earth. Virgo is earth, Pisces is water. Get out into nature. When you allow yourself to be still, this is where you receive information. This is where you are more in a state of flow. Now, I have a Pisces moon, so maybe this is why I can go on and on and on about Pisces. Now, like I said, Pisces is an extremely intuitive water sign. Pisces is ruled by both Jupiter and Neptune. Pisces fantasies can sometimes be bigger than life, but they can sense things. Pisces energy has like an extra sensory chip built in. They sense what's not being said. They sense what's underneath the surface. So again, a full moon is only going to serve to bring that all up to what has been subconscious is now becoming conscious. Mercury is also retrograde through the sign of Virgo. And I always say that if we allow ourselves the space to integrate the retrogrades and to slow down, we can really receive some powerful insights. Again, I want to stress that this full moon carries with it a profound level of prophecy. Bringing it back to the Eight of Cups, we are turning our backs on behaviors that no longer serve us, on patterns that no longer serve us, and in some cases, even on relationships and or situations that no longer serve us, that are no longer fulfilling us. Perhaps we have stayed in a situation for far too long. We're recognizing it now. We're really, truly recognizing it and recognizing the consequences or the karma of our actions and or inactions. There's a very strong sense of karma attached to this full moon because this full moon is lined up with Saturn, the planet of karma, the lord of karma and fate and time. And then when we pull it back to the Eight of Pentacles, Virgo, this tells us that there is still a bit of inner and outer work to be done. We may have to withdraw from the real world for a time to get right within ourselves, to get right within here, to focus on our true worth and tune into our inner voice. That is what this energy is supporting. And is it going to be easy? Probably not. Is it going to be very fulfilling once we come out the other side of that? Absolutely. But work is required. Eights are work. And also wealth and rewards. I'm talking about spiritual wealth, not necessarily material wealth. Of course, both would be great, right? But that is what this energy is about. Virgo is more about the material, where Pisces is more about the spiritual. How do we integrate these energies? How do you integrate these energies? Some things to reflect upon under this full moon. I told you it's a deep one. It's profound. Just trust that whatever is being illuminated for you at this time and brought out into the light is urging you to confront and integrate that energy, those lessons, whatever is associated with it. Again, that's going to be different for everybody. And while this full moon is going to be profound for everyone, it's going to likely feel the most profound for strong placements of Pisces, especially between 5 and 10 degrees, sun, moon, and rising specifically. Also Virgo, Gemini, and Sagittarius are mutable signs. The thing with Pisces energy is that oftentimes they will bury their head in the sand when they don't want to deal with something and when they don't want to confront something, or when they know something is the way that it is, because Pisces always knows, when they know something is the way that it is, but they're just not ready to deal with it, to deal with the reality, Virgo, of it. So they kind of coast, they escape, they do other things to avoid the one thing that they know they shouldn't be avoiding. Just know that this full moon is going to bring that up in spades, and you're probably going to be finally ready to face and confront what needs to be faced and confronted. And again, for everyone, that is going to be different. So take this how it resonates for you. Now let's talk about the level of support that is surrounding this full moon and why it might feel a little bit easier than normal to get grounded, to get realistic, and to do what needs to be done to propel us forward. Let me pull up the chart. Okay, so here we have our Pisces full moon, August 30th, 9:36 p.m. Eastern time. Obviously change this if you're pulling up the chart yourself to reflect wherever you are in the world. We see here that the moon is up here at 7 degrees 25 minutes of Pisces, and the sun is exactly opposite at 7 degrees and 25 minutes of Virgo. Now we are being supported to be very confident and to take control of our reality. We have the support of Saturn right up here at 3 degrees of Pisces, conjunct the moon and opposite the sun. This brings in a level of responsibility and structure and discipline. If you followed me, you heard me always talk about Saturn, and I use the analogy of Saturn being the parental figure that stands over you and watches you eat your dinner, and you cannot get up to play until you finish your vegetables. That's how Saturn operates. He puts in an element of structure and discipline and rules, even some restrictions. He may pose some blockages and or delays, but when you do the work, you receive the reward. This is the karmic way that Saturn operates, and it lets us know that things take time. Good things take time. We need time to see the truth. We need time to have the veil lifted, Pisces, so that we can then move and bring in what we need to bring into our reality, Virgo. We bring it down to earth. So we really have the support of Saturn here. Saturn is the anchor at this full moon. This is going to keep those emotions that are going to be all over the place. It's going to bring in a bit of a grounding force with them. And I have to be honest, as a Pisces moon, I actually feel that. Sure, I feel tuned in, but I don't feel all over the place. Remember, Pisces is a mutable water sign, so sometimes those emotions are up, down, side to side, all over the place. But with Saturn here, it will reel that in. It will help to rein that in. And this also reminds us of where we still need to do some work and bringing in that confidence to do so, to keep going. Seeing the finish line, projects coming to fruition, even if it's not quite yet, because that's a big word right now. Almost, but not quite. And I say that because Jupiter's right here at 15 of Taurus, loosely lined up with Uranus at 23 of Taurus. And we're going to have that conjunction building and building when we move into 2024, and we're going to talk about that later. But I think this is going to be a very positive, innovative energy, and it's already in effect. Personally speaking right now, this is going to help to bust us out of a rut. That's why I said, not yet, not quite yet, but you're going to feel like you're getting there. This is a very innovative, expansive, and productive energy, but we have to notice it. We have to pay attention to the symbols and signs. So one thing that I find really interesting about this full moon, and also very profound, is that we have a lot of quincunxes here between the planets, or inconjuncts. And this aspect brings in an energy where we have to make some adjustments, but the end game is that we get what we need to get. We make it work. So we have Mars over here now at 2 degrees of Libra, and Mars is in conjunct the moon. So this might just mean that we feel like we want to take action in one or more areas of our lives, but yet something's holding us back, or we're being a little bit wishy-washy about it, or we don't feel like we have the green light. Honor that. Make adjustments, because we are under very many retrogrades right now. So you probably won't feel like you're ready to charge forth just yet. We've also got Venus over here at 12 degrees of Leo in conjunct the moon. Venus is also currently retrograde until September 3rd. So our communications, our connections, our relationships might still feel a little bit funky. This inconjunct energy is funky. So some relationships in your life may need some adjusting. Saturn up here at 3 degrees of Pisces is also in conjunct Mars. Now Saturn and Mars together can give us tremendous drive and force and energy and move us forward when they're harmonizing. A quincunx, an inconjunct, is not exactly harmony. It can be, but it takes time. It takes adjustments. Be willing to do the work. Eventually you get the rewards. That's the reminder here. We've also got Chiron here at 19 degrees of Aries in conjunct Mercury over here at 19 degrees of Virgo. Mercury is also retrograde. Now this combination of Mercury and Venus retrograde in conjunct both the moon and Chiron can definitely feel emotionally tender. And it's a Pisces full moon. So that's going to swell that energy that much more. You could find that emotional issues from the past are resurfacing. A specific person may even contact you out of the blue, or you might do so. Remember, when these situations occur, it doesn't necessarily mean you're supposed to engage and open back up that communication. Most times it's for karmic closure. Remember that. So allow yourself to feel it. Cry. Have a good cry if you need to. Tears are release. Let that gunk leave your body. When it lives in your body, it can affect the physical health. Virgo, let it out. Pisces, you're going to be feeling extra sensitive. And again, this is likely going to be about something from a very long time ago with these energies. Remember, we're dealing with a lot of oppositional energy between the conscious awareness, which is represented by the sun, and then our emotional depths, that which is lurking beneath the surface, the moon. All of this to say, great time to take it inward, great time to reflect, great time to do a release ritual. Think about how we can make adjustments, how we can do things differently, how things have panned out over the last year. Are we where we want to be? If not, what can we do to get us there? What do we need to release? What do we need to leave behind? What do we need to work toward leaving behind? Patterns, behaviors, relationship situations. What is keeping us limited and or stuck? Remember, final full moon of a cycle. It's also a great time to commit to and strengthen your spiritual practices. Like I always say, utilize the tools in your spiritual toolbox, because in a world of instability, you have to be your own stability. Now, when I looked at this chart, there was a lot of things that jumped out to me. I was getting a lot of impressions, a lot of downloads. And so with what I say, none of it is to fearmonger. It's just to bring some awareness. And this is, again, my interpretation by what I know of astrology and of the planets, and also by what I feel intuitively. So let's talk about Neptune. Neptune is the co-ruler of Pisces, okay? So Neptune rules over the sign of Pisces, and this is a Pisces full moon. Neptune is up here at 26 degrees of Pisces. Neptune is also making an inconjunct to Ceres over here at 23 Libra. Ceres is the goddess of crops, grains, and agriculture. She also speaks to areas of nurturance, the way we nurture ourselves, the way we want to be nurtured, need to be nurtured, are or are not nurtured, were or were not nurtured, and the way we nurture others. But in this instance, I'm really referring to the crops, grains, and agriculture portion. So we've got Neptune over here, which is all about water, the god of the seas. And Neptune's making an inconjunct or a quincunx aspect to Ceres, and also the south node in Libra. This to me just pulls in this energy of wetness, like we've been talking about, and Neptune retrograde, and with Uranus retrograde, and Mercury retrograde, all these other planets retrograde interacting with one another. I just feel like water is going to feature strongly over the next 2 months, specifically over the next 4 weeks from when I'm recording this video, which is August 24th. We may be hearing a lot about water and crops being, hopefully not, crops being destroyed, flooding, disruption to the balance of the land, of the earth in specific areas. Again, that's Ceres in Libra, balance. The south node, what do we need to release and do away with? What is not working for us? I think it's important to also mention that we've got haumea over here at 29 degrees of Libra. And haumea is the Hawaiian goddess of fertility, abundance, rebirth. I bring this up because she's the Hawaiian goddess and she's at the 29th degree of Libra. 29th degree, anaretic degree. The properties of that energy are heightened. Haumea is a dwarf planet. She bears a lot of significance, and she's also conjunct the south node. To me, this brings in an element of hope. We know what just happened with Hawaii, right? Sometimes astrology really is that literal. Rebirth and fertility are possible. Libra's all about bringing in the balance. Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, is also all about faith, compassion, empathy, altruism, connecting to our people, staying in the vibration of positivity and altruism. Will go a really long way during these times. But yeah, all of that to say, I do feel like water is going to feature strongly in the next 4 to 6 weeks. Obviously Hawaii, and I don't know why I keep getting a lot about New Zealand. Nothing bad, just water energy. So again, there could just be a little bit of disruption in relation to water. Now also, fixed star bham. We see bham up here exactly conjunct this full moon in Pisces. So bham falls in the constellation of Pegasus. Remember, fixed stars are fixed. They don't really move a whole lot. So there's really no specific meaning to this fixed star, but the constellation of Pegasus as a whole speaks about ambition, vanity, intuition, enthusiasm, and as with everything with astrology, there's always a shadow side, also with poor judgment, bad judgment. Again, I bring this up because the constellation of Pegasus has also been connected to disturbances with the ocean, with water. And even more specifically with ships and the ocean. Again, not to fearmonger, just telling you the astrology. It also speaks to rapid changes in the weather. And again, I need to bring this in because with Uranus stationing retrograde, there are going to be rapid changes with the weather. This is why I say it's just like with astrology. You use the energy as guidance. You keep it in your back pocket in case something comes up, you're prepared for it. Same thing with literal weather. You bring an umbrella in case it rains. You check the weather report of where you're going to make sure that you're prepared. You bring a rain jacket. You bring your galoshes, whatever it is. Being prepared is not a bad thing. And then if it doesn't happen, all the more power, right? Again, all of that to say, very powerful full moon energy we are under right now. It doesn't matter what faith you follow, what religion you follow. We all have faith, right? Pull into that. Another big sentiment of the sign of Pisces. Have faith. Tune into your spirituality. What do you believe in? What deities, gods, goddesses, the divine, family members, spirit guides, ancestors, whatever it is, who do you pray to? What do you believe in? What brings you spiritual strength? Pull into that, tune into that. If you don't have that answer, this is probably a wonderful full moon to sit with that, to contemplate, to reflect. Faith is everything. Without faith, we have nothing. And that doesn't mean you have to follow a specific faith, because being spiritual is not about following a specific faith or religion. It's about being true to your spirit, period. Doesn't matter if you eat red meat. I don't care what anybody tells you. Let's think about some of the most famous leaders out in the world and the things that have been revealed about them. Are they practicing what they preach? Pay attention to who you're following. Go inward. Be discerning. Trust yourself above all else. Your intuition is there for a reason. It is the seat of your soul. It speaks to you. It speaks through you. I don't care if you say, I'm not intuitive. Everyone is intuitive. We all have a sixth sense. We all have the capability to tune into that. I'm stressing that because this energy is promoting that. All right, take really good care of yourselves. Take really good care of the physical body. It's going to likely feel stressed and taxed, but at the same time, there could be very exhilarating energies coming through you. A lot of aha moments, a lot of epiphanies, a lot of positive developments could come up for you. Things that you thought were not going to come to fruition, all of a sudden start to come to fruition. But remember, we've got a lot of planets retrograde, so take time, take your time, sit with decisions, be discerning. Again, if you need me, I've got some private consultations that are open. Okay, again, you can find me at lisasalvatore.com. All of my links are below in the description box. Take care.